Let me tell you a little bit about the man behind the slick video. When I was a child, I was always entrepreneurial. I sold lemonade, I sold candy, I sold what is now an old relic called compact discs out of my dormitory in college. I even sold my old toys when I got tired of them, I tried to at least, to other kids in my neighborhood. And my mother found out and said, "Boy, you can't sell those toys, I bought them. If you're gonna sell them, at least give me a cut." I told her no. And so she shut my whole operation down. But for my years as a child and my years growing up, that entrepreneurial spirit continued to shine. From Rutgers University to Oxford University to MIT's Media Laboratory, where I learned about technology and innovation. Certainly to my stint on the reality television show The Apprentice, where I won the 4th season, to where I stand today as the chairman and CEO of BCT Partners, a multi-million-dollar management consulting and information technology consulting firm. Across all of that, I have come to appreciate and to embrace what I call, and what others call, the entrepreneur's mindset. So I want to speak to you to the following theme: the entrepreneur's mindset, the essential mindset to be competitive in the 21st century and to believe that the sky is the limit. Now, before I talk about the mindset, there are two trends that set the stage for why the mindset is essential. The first is that we are living in tough economic times. You are all aware, no matter what you call it, layoffs, reorganization, restructuring, downsizing, my favorite, right-sizing, no matter what you call it, we are living in tough economic times that we have witnessed over the past few years. We have witnessed the downfall of several multinational, long-standing corporations we never would have dreamed would have fallen to the wayside. Started with Enron, then to Lehman Brothers. Then we saw the demise of AIG. Circuit City declared bankruptcy. And the sum total of all of these trends, certainly we are no longer competing with our neighbors in adjacent cities or adjacent regions, but we are competing truly with our not-so-nearby neighbors in China and India across our entire globe. On top of that, the implication for each and every one of us is that as we are all being asked to do more with less in a globally competitive, if not hyper-competitive environment, is only those who are able to compete by doing more with less that will survive. Those who do not will continue to fall to the wayside. Second trend is technology. From CDs to DVDs to MP3s to PSPs to HD TVs, our world is radically different technologically today than it was, say, 10 years ago. I used to work for AT&T, and back in the days when I worked there, we used to run these futuristic commercials where we would lay out these scenarios for the future. We would say things like, "Have you ever sent a fax from the beach?" This is the actual ad. Or have you ever paid a toll without stopping? Or have you ever read a book from 1,000 miles away? And then it would fade to black, and it would say, "Well, you will." And the company that will bring it to you is AT&T. Now think about it. We have all of that today. You can send a fax from your phone from the beach. You can read a book on the internet from 1,000 miles away. You can pay a toll without stopping. In fact, the only thing that didn't come true is that AT&T brought none of it to you. That's the one thing we miss with all that futuristic thinking. But not only have we adopted technology, we've integrated it into our lives at much faster rates of adoption. Behind me is the number of years it's taken various technologies to reach 25% market share, for 25% of the population to engage or use or utilize those technologies. As you see from the airplane, which took 54 years for 25% market share, all the way down to the internet, which took 7 years. And so we're adopting technology at a much faster pace. The implication of this trend is that it's not only those who are able to use technology that will succeed, but it's those who are able to embrace and apply and innovate that will ultimately be competitive. Those who do not will continue to fall to the wayside. And so if I think about the sum total of these two trends, the economy and technology, I can only draw the conclusion that we are in a new day and age, which is not a temporary shift, but a fundamental change in how our global economy functions. As a function of that, we're in a new day with a new era, with new opportunities and new challenges, which needs a new mindset. What is the mindset? The entrepreneur's mindset. The entrepreneur's mindset believes that entrepreneurship is not just something you do, it's a way that you think. It's not just something you do, it's a way that you think. What are the characteristics? I'm glad you asked. The entrepreneur's mindset is made up of 5 characteristics. First, creativity, a clever or inventive approach to whatever you do, regardless of whether you own a business or not. Any walk of life, any profession. Second, resourcefulness, making something out of nothing, or in hip-hop vernacular, making $1 out of 15 cents, staying legit, and still paying your rent. Third, courage, the belief that you can achieve whatever your mind can conceive. Fourth, resilience, the ability to overcome any challenge. And then fifth and finally, and perhaps most importantly, passion, boundless enthusiasm for whatever you do. I believe when you wrap all of these characteristics together, if you look at that list, I can only observe that it is those who embrace this mindset who truly believe that the sky is the limit. Those who go for the impossible goal, dream the impossible dream, pursue the impossible path. Those who don't separate dreams from reality, fact from fiction, probabilities from possibilities are the ones who embrace this mindset. And if you think about that mindset that has the audacity to believe that the sky is the limit, I believe it is the very mindset that you see, if you think about it, in little children. But I believe children give us tremendous insight to what we were like before we were influenced by the world. Think about it. You never hear a child say that they can't do something, they won't do something, or they shouldn't do something. That language only begins to emerge as they grow older, as adults like us step in to tell them what they can't do, what they shouldn't do, and what they'll never do. You don't hear a child say, I'm not a math person, or the jungle gym's never been my thing, or the seesaw's kicking my butt. I mean, children just don't use that kind of language. Another example. I did a workshop with some elementary school kids. I asked them, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Kids, little ones. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Little girl walked up to me, said, I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, and a teacher because I want to help people. I said, really? And the first thought that came to my mind is, do you know how long you're going to be in school? To be a lawyer, a doctor, and a teacher? You know how much debt you're going to rack up? Going to med school, law school, and school of education, you're going to be broke! I didn't mean to scare her. But if you listen to what I was trying to do, I was trying to silence the voice that lived within her that told her she could do anything, be anything, and accomplish anything. I wanted to silence the voice from her childhood that I believe lives in all of us that told her she could do anything, be anything, and accomplish anything. And I had to ask myself, who am I to tell her that she cannot be a lawyer, a doctor, and a teacher? Who am I? And it is that mindset that I'm asking each and every one of you to embrace as you come here to TEDx Jamaica, to embrace the mindset from your childhood that was once oblivious to realism and syllogism and pessimism and negativism and racism and sexism and all the other isms that seek to suppress that voice. Because when you embrace that voice from your childhood, I believe that is when and only when you believe the sky is the limit. Now, I also believe if you look at the stories of other successful entrepreneurs, back to the entrepreneur's mindset, I believe that when Bill Gates and Paul Allen came up with the idea for Microsoft, when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak came up with the idea for Apple, let me move this so I don't get lost. Here we go. When David Filo and Jerry Yang came up with the idea for Yahoo, when Sergey Brin and Larry Page came up with the idea for Google, and when Randal Pinkett and Jeffrey Robinson and Dallas Grundy and Lawrence Hibbert came up with the idea for BCT Partners, what do you notice? We were all young. Getting back to what we heard a moment ago, we didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't know what we shouldn't be doing in the first place. That's what I heard from his remarks. And so, how do you operationalize this mindset? How do you make it practical in your lives? Let me give you a couple of recommendations. First, four things. First, you got to bring passion to whatever you do. Boundless enthusiasm that regardless of what profession, what walk of life, what industry, what sector you find yourself in, you bring passion to what you do. For me, my passion has always been business and technology. So I run a technology business. But in fact, studies have shown that if you look at those who've been successful and those who have perhaps plateaued at points in their career, it is those who are successful who use as their compass and their guiding light their passion. They're willing to say no to what may look like a good opportunity if it does not tap into what they love and what they do. So I'm here to say find a natural fit between what you love and what you do. That in an economy like this, the proclivity is to believe I got to sacrifice what I want to do for what I need to do. And I would say just the opposite. That if you want to find your way under any circumstance, it means figuring out what it is that you love to do first, whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, or anything across the board. And then how does that manifest into the work that I do? Meaning that if there's no passion, there is no point. There's no passion, there is no purpose. If there's no passion, there should be no pursuit. Second, you do what entrepreneurs also do. And the summary, the takeaway from my last point, which is the following from Oprah. When you love what you do, you will never work another day in your life. Or stated differently, in the words of the great scholar and philosopher, Flavor Flav, what we need is awareness. We can't get careless. Awareness of what our passions are. Those are the words of Flavor Flav. Last I checked, he wasn't coming to speak at TEDx Jamaica. And maybe that's a good thing. Second, you do what entrepreneurs do. If you look back at the examples from before, what else do you notice? While we often focus on the individual entrepreneur as the story of success, look at those pictures. The team. The team, the team, the team. That is the operating metaphor for entrepreneurial success, if not any success. I heard that a moment ago as well. And it means embracing what Jim Collins, who wrote the book Good to Great. How many of you read Good to Great? It's a must read. What Jim Collins calls level 5 leadership. That Collins argues that the good leader thinks what and then who. What should we be doing? And then who should we get on the team to help us do it? I don't know about you, that makes sense to me. What should we be doing? Who should we get to help us get there? Collins says no. The great leader, not the good one, but the great leader is that level 5 leader who thinks who first and then what? Who should be on my team? And then once they're on the team, what should we be doing? That who's on the bus is more important than where the bus is going. Same story plays out in my life. I've had the same 3 business partners across 5 ventures. The who has always been the gentleman you see behind me. The what has been Mind, Body, and Soul Enterprises, then MBS Enterprises, then Inner City Consulting Group, then BCT Partners, then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you find a good team, it's like finding a good spouse, like finding a good partner. You don't want to break up that team. They say marriage is grand and divorce is 50 grand. Or maybe 100 grand, depending on how you roll. The point is you don't want to break up a good team. And I think what you'll hear before me and after me is that theme running through our presentations. Third, the summary, the takeaway. What's the takeaway? The takeaway from this third point, don't conform, second point, the team to the strategy, conform the strategy to the team. Third, moving along. The third way of operationalizing this entrepreneur's mindset is you have to anticipate where technology is going. You have to be able to then understand how is that going to affect your line of work. If you do not take the time to do that, you can very easily and very quickly become obsolete. Ask anyone in the automotive industry. how they're looking to retool their skills. And so look at the eras that we've witnessed, from the mainframe computing era of the 1970s to the personal computing era of the 1980s to the World Wide Web and internet era of the 1990s that was ushered in then, to the social media era that was ushered in the early part of 2000, to the mobile computing era where now if the old tagline was, "You will," the new tagline is, "There's an app for that." There's an app for everything. To the 2000s, the cloud computing era, which we're now at the precipice of, where computing power is moving back to the data center and being delivered to your mobile, your tablet, your desktop device, to what is the next era, in my opinion, the interoperability era, where devices and technologies will be able to seamlessly and easily communicate and exchange information. You see the beginnings of it with smartphones that can control your TV, with cell phones that can purchase like a credit card, with tablets that can control everything inside your home. What are the implications of that forthcoming era for the work that you do? Fourth and finally, the takeaway as it relates to technology and where we're going. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. You've got to know where we're going and what the implications are to manifest that mindset. Now, fourth and finally, you've got to have and maintain a healthy acceptance of failure as part of what it means to innovate, as part of what it means to achieve success. Success is built upon a foundation of failure, and that the mediating factor between failure and success is perseverance. It is perseverance. That, if you look at two quick examples, WD-40 stands for water displacement perfected on the 40th try. That's what it stands for. The inventors took 40 attempts to get a water displacement formula correct before it was ready for market. Another example, you're going to love this one. Formula 409. You know where I'm going. Two young scientists in Detroit set out to create the ultimate cleaner. How many times did it take them to get it right? Come on, how many times did it take? 409. 409. So what am I saying? If there's no risk, there is no reward. If there is no disappointment, there is no discipline. If there is no problems, there is no progress. If there is no pain, there is no gain. If there is no test, there is no testimony, no trial, no triumph, which means sometimes you have to go through in order to grow through, which means go hard or go home. If you don't believe, then don't bother, because failure isn't falling down, failure is staying down. Or stated more succinctly, to win without risk is to triumph without glory. It's a deep one. I like that. I like it. So in summary, in conclusion, you look at the speakers that have and will grace this TEDx Jamaica 2011 stage. What's the common theme across all of these individuals? What's the common theme? I'll tell you what the common theme is. They are all crazy. They're all crazy. Crazy enough to think they could fly around the world. Crazy enough to think they could build a social network while in college. Crazy enough to be an artist and producer at the age of 14. Crazy enough to be a serial entrepreneur of a global technology company. Crazy enough to be a campus CEO to a company once now acquired by Google. And so the great advertisement from Apple will lead me into my conclusion. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And so when you embrace the entrepreneur's mindset, when you embrace the 5 principles I've shared with you, it is then that you believe in the following: that you can be an entrepreneurial instigator, that you can be a global change instigator, that you can be a global project coordinator or a visionary prognosticator. But in the words of my little cousins, not a move faker, not a value forsaker, not a troublemaker, and not a player hater, but rather a concept originator, an idea generator, an opportunity taker, a resource activator, a technology innovator, an anti-procrastinator, a accomplishment celebrator, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. You will make it do what it do, and you will then believe you will then believe the sky's the limit. God bless you, and thank you.